Thank you. Now, folks, here's something else I got a problem with. The 10 Commandments. Here's my problem. Why are there 10? You don't need 10. I think the list of commandments was deliberately and artificially inflated to get it up to 10. It's a padded list.
An interesting theory.
Here's what they did. About 5,000 years ago, a bunch of religious and political hustlers got together to try to figure out how to control people, how to keep them in line. They knew people were basically stupid and would believe anything they were told, so they announced that God had given them some commandments. Up on a mountain, when no one was around, God had given them the 10 Commandments. But let me ask you this. When they were sitting around making this shit up, why did they pick 10? Why 10? Why not 9 or 11? I'll tell you why. Because 10 sounds official. 10 sounds important.
True.
They knew if it was 11, people wouldn't take it seriously. Say, what, are you kidding me? The 11 Commandments? Get the fuck out of here. But 10 sounds important. 10 is the basis for the decimal system. It's a decade. It's a psychologically satisfying number. The top 10, the 10 most wanted, the 10 best dressed. So having 10 commandments was really a marketing decision. And to me...
That's an interesting theory. The 10 Commandments does have an official sound to it. I'm trying to think, if it was like the 12 Commandments, would people still take it seriously? I still think people would be like, oh, the 12 Commandments. But yeah, 10 does sound more official. It sounds more like this is right. It's 10. This is the 10 rules you have to follow.
Decade. It's a psychologically satisfying number. The top 10, the 10 most wanted, the 10 best dressed. So having 10 commandments was really a marketing decision. And to me, it's clearly a bullshit list. It's a political document artificially inflated to sell better. I'm going to show you how you could reduce the number of commandments and come up with a list that's a little more workable and logical. We're going to start with the first 3, and I'll use the Roman Catholic version because those are the ones I was taught as a little boy. I am the Lord thy God. Thou shalt not have strange gods before me. Thou shalt not take the name of the Lord thy God in vain. Thou shalt keep holy the Sabbath. Right off the bat, the first 3, pure bullshit. Sabbath day, Lord's name, strange gods. Spooky language. Spooky language. Designed to scare and control primitive people. In no way does superstitious nonsense like this apply to the lives of intelligent, civilized humans in the 21st century. You throw out the first 3 commandments, you're down to 7. Next, honor thy father and mother. Obedience, respect for authority. Just another name for controlling people. The truth is, obedience and respect should not be automatic. They should be earned. They should be based on the parent's performance.
I think that's such an interesting point. I used to think the contrary. I used to think, well, you always have to respect authority regardless. But now I'm more on George Carlin's side. Times where authority figures, parents, teachers, stuff like that will disrespect kids, and there's like this culture that you have to deal with it. You have to take it. Even growing up, like religious, that's kind of instilled with you, like don't disrespect your mum, like honor your mum and dad, right? But it also talks about in the Bible how parents shouldn't provoke their children, and I am a firm believer in not overextending yourself. If someone isn't respecting you, like your parents aren't respecting you and they're not treating you with respect, then you don't owe them respect. You don't owe them anything, really. You don't have to respect them back. You're entitled to feel however you want to feel and deal with them however you want to deal with them. Not saying that you should just be rude to your parents, but if they're being disrespectful towards you, there shouldn't be this like innate belief that you have to respect them because they're your parents. Like you didn't ask to be born. Like
they should be earned. They should be based on the parent's performance. Right? Some parents deserve respect. Most of them don't. Period. You're down to 6. Now, in the interest of logic, something religion is very uncomfortable with, We're going to jump around the list a little bit. Thou shalt not steal, thou shalt not bear false witness. Stealing and lying. Well, actually, these two both prohibit the same kind of behavior. Dishonesty, stealing, and lying. So you don't need two of them. Instead, you combine them and you call it thou shalt not be dishonest. And suddenly, you're down to 5. And as long as we're combining, I have two others that belong together. Thou shalt not commit adultery, thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's wife. Once again, these two prohibit the same kind of behavior, in this case, marital infidelity. The difference is coveting takes place in the mind, and I don't think you should outlaw fantasizing about someone else's wife. Otherwise, what's a guy going to think about when he's waxing his carrot? But marital fidelity is a good idea, so we're going to keep the idea and call this one, thou shalt not be unfaithful. And suddenly, we're down to 4. But when you think about it, honesty and fidelity are really part of the same overall value. So in truth, you could combine the 2 honesty commandments with the 2 fidelity commandments and give them simpler language, positive language instead of negative, and call the whole thing, thou shalt always be honest and faithful. And we're down to 3. Thou shalt, they're going away fast. Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's goods. This one is just plain fucking stupid. Coveting your neighbor's goods is what keeps the economy going. Am I right? Your neighbor gets a vibrator that plays "O Come All Ye Faithful." You want to get one too. Coveting creates jobs. Leave it alone. You throw out coveting and you're down to 2 now, the big honesty and fidelity commandment, and the one we haven't talked about yet, thou shalt not kill, murder, the 5th commandment. But when you think about it, religion has never really had a big problem with murder. Not really. More people have been killed in the name of God than for any other reason. All you have to do... Sure.
You've got it forward. And this is the point that I was trying to make in the video when I was reacting to his discussion about abortion. You know, there are loads of people that kill in the name of God. There are certain killings that take place that are not necessarily sinful, even in the Bible's terms. So it's just so interesting to me that people are like, when you have an abortion, typically the people who are pro-life, they're like, when you have an abortion, you're killing innocent babies. You're killing innocent babies. But it's like these types of people are usually so hypocritical and so selective with what killings are wrong and what killings are justified and what killings are right. For example, if you kill someone in self-defense, someone can make a case, well, you know, I was defending myself. And then, you know, people be like, yeah, no, that's fine. It's okay. But when you have an abortion, it's, oh my God, you killed a baby. How dare you? How dare you kill that poor innocent baby? That baby didn't even get to live their life. It's like, pooks. These people do not actually care about innocent babies. If they cared about innocent babies, they would care about the fact that there are loads of children that, you know, are malnourished, and there are children that, you know, go to school without eating, which affects their ability to perform in class. And there are children who are, you know, there are so many issues that are going on with children that are alive, but a lot of people don't care about that. A lot of Christians even will be like, well, the state shouldn't have to deal with the poverty that children might be in, right? That should be on the parents, right? So they think there should be a separation between the state and church, for example. So they'll be like, you know what, it's up to the parent to deal with your child. If your child isn't eating, the parent has to figure that out, right? But then also when people have abortions, it's like, oh my God, you killed that baby, you killed it. But when they see actual babies that aren't eating, that are starving, that are not in a good place, they're like, well, not my problem, not my business. I don't know about that. I don't know what to say.
Do is look at Northern Ireland, the Middle East, Kashmir, the Inquisition, the Crusades, and the World Trade Center to see how seriously the religious folks take thou shalt not kill. The more devout they are, the more they see murder as being negotiable. It's negotiable. You know? It depends. It depends. It depends on who's doing the killing and who's getting killed.
Yeah.
So, with all of this in mind, I leave you with my revised list of the 2 commandments. Thou shalt always be honest and faithful to the provider of thy nookie. And thou shalt try real hard not to kill anyone, unless, of course, they pray to a different invisible man from the one you pray to. 2 is all you need. Moses could have carried him down the hill in his fucking pocket. And if they had a list like that, I wouldn't mind those folks in Alabama putting it up on the courthouse wall. As long as they included one additional commandment, thou shalt keep thy religion to thyself. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Thanks for coming in.
That's such an interesting point that he made at the end there. Thou shalt keep thy religion to thyself. And I think something that is encouraged, especially in Christianity, obviously there's loads of different denominations, but in the church that I was going to, we were encouraged to like go out and spread the gospel. I guess you could say we were like evangelical. I guess that would be the terminology you would use to describe what we were doing, I guess, whatever. Anyways, I always kind of felt a little bit uneasy, like going out into the street and kind of just like putting the gospel and just like throwing it at people and being like, if you don't accept the word of Jesus right now, you're going to go to hell, because a lot of it is fear. A lot of it is instilling fear in other people that didn't necessarily ask for for the gospel, and I think the entitlement is so funny to me as well. I did a video recently where I was talking about Tom McDonald, and I was talking about how the right has, like, Republicans have problems with political violence. Like, stats show that the right have got issues when it comes to political violence, and so many people in the comments were like, I'm gonna pray for you, you need Jesus, I'm gonna pray for you. And it's like the entitlement for you, instead of you like actually arguing what I'm saying, instead of you actually addressing the point that I'm making, you just resort to, I'm gonna pray for you. But it's like, the person didn't even ask for you to pray for them, and the fact that you think that you're morally superior because you can get on your knees and pray is kind of odd to me. You know, it's like, oh, you're lost, let me pray for you. Like, I'm all right, I don't need your prayers. And it's so interesting because, like, I guess I used to be in that mindset where, you know, I would like go to people in the street and I'd like preach and I'd be like, you have to accept Jesus right now as your Lord and Savior. And it's like, it's kind of dumb, because when people would do it to me, like when people would come to me and be like, oh, have you accepted Jesus as your Lord and Savior? I'd literally just entertain the conversation and talk to those people just so they could like go away, you know? Like usually, like when you're walking on the street and when people come up to you and they start preaching, like a lot of people want to go somewhere. A lot of people have places to go, things to do. They don't really want to be like stopped and told about the gospel. Some people do, a lot of people don't. A lot of people are busy with their lives and thinking about their own stuff, right? So with me, a lot of the time I'd be like, yeah, I'll accept, I'll come to your church, but I would never do it. So I always used to think like when, and guys, like the church I was going to, it was kind of culty, I'm not gonna lie, but the church I was going to, it was like kind of mandatory that we had to do it. You know, they'd assign us into groups and we'd have to like go out on outreach. Basically, like there was a point we were going like once, I don't know if it was once a week or maybe a bit more than that, but we would go out and we'd meet in a group and we'd like go and speak to people and stop them, and we'd have to get their numbers and we'd have to like recommend them to go to the churches, giving very much cult. And then we'd be like, at the end we'd be like, oh, how many people have you got, like, and have you brought this person to church? And then in my head it kind of felt like a competition as well. Like I felt like a lot of people were kind of competing to see how many people they could bring to Christ. It's like, this isn't even genuine, this isn't authentic. Like you're not even preaching because you want to spread the gospel. You're preaching it because you're being told to do it, and you're being told that, you know, you're going to get rewarded if you like bring so many people to Christ and if you tell them about the gospel. And it's like a lot of these people don't even care. Number one, they don't want to hear it. Number two, and also, like, are you even sure in what you're saying? Something I realized as well, especially a lot of people in the church, especially young people in the church who are preaching, doing outreach and stuff like that. You ask them like something, a question that you know, maybe their pastor hasn't, you know, thought about. And you see how fragile people's faith actually is, because a lot of people don't have actual faith. They're just doing what they've been told, or they're just following the rules. They're following what their pastor said. Guys, the amount of things that I've seen is like, I can make a whole video about it, you know. I don't want to get into depth, but you know, there was people in the church who had to run certain things by the pastor. So they had to like, they had to make sure that, let's say for example, they wanted to make a decision. Before they would make a decision, they'd have to consult the pastor, and he would have to like say whether it's a good idea or not. And I remember like thinking about that and thinking, this is just kind of silly. Like, what? Like, if you want me to go to the pastor and ask him if I'm allowed to like date this guy, or ask him if like, if I should wear, it's odd. It's very odd, very culty. I have stories for days about the church and going to the church, but as always, George Carlin is very, very good at communicating certain ideas and getting you to think about certain concepts. Like, even if the whole idea of the 10 Commandments was like 10, so it would sound more official, that's something to think about. It's also something to think about as to whether, you know, people just kind of made it up, you know. And yeah, so many questions. I love George Carlin because he encourages you to think, and I think at the end of the day that is something that's being lost, especially in this generation. There's like this moral panic that like morality is being lost, and more people are being atheists, and like, oh my gosh, like how can this happen? You know, we're losing the West because nobody has morals anymore. And I don't necessarily buy into that. I just think a lot of people, you know, are losing faith in a lot of the systems that they used to trust, which is fair enough. But I also think a lot of people are starting to see through things and ask certain questions. And when you do ask certain questions, it leads to certain solutions, you know. And yeah, it's very, very interesting. So as always, let me know what you guys thought of this video. If you enjoyed, please make sure to like, comment and subscribe. Comment down below any videos you guys would like to see from me. Join the Patreon, it helps me a lot. Follow me on Instagram, TikTok, all that good stuff, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.